Welcome to the PJ Hoop Podcast. I'm your host, PJ, and on my podcast, I like to talk about the NBA, college, high school, and international basketball. This is an all-around basketball podcast. I don't just focus on the NBA. Today will be my pre-draft episode, and before I give you the details of what that's going to entail, I just want to let you guys know, after this episode, which is my pre-draft episode, my next one will be my post-draft episode, and then I'll take about 2 to 3 weeks off, like I did last summer, just to kind of just recoup and gather new information, because there's a lot of, like I just told you guys, I cover high school and international as well. And there's a lot of camps coming up this summer. We just finished up with the NBA Top 100 camp. We got the FIBA U19 World Tournament coming up. We got the FIBA U18 Euro Basketball Tournament coming up. We got the Peach Jam. We got the Formula Zero camp. And then we also got the Adidas Three Stripe camp coming up this summer. So the next 2-3 weeks after I do my post-draft episode, I'll be using that time to kind of just, like I said, take time to myself, but then also just keeping up with these tournaments as well. And then obviously keeping up with NBA free agency. So I want to let you guys know I will be gone for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then when I come back on, we'll be talking about high school and international heavy. We'll dive into, obviously, the trades, some of the trades that's happened recently. We'll talk about those after free agency is pretty much done. So I just want to let you guys know what to kind of expect from me for the next month and a half, 2 months. If you're interested, too, if this is your first time checking out my pod, I would go ahead and check out some of my episodes from last summer so you can kind of get an idea of who I'm talking about and what I talk about. Like I said, I go over high school international basketball during the summer heavy. And then also towards the end of the summer, I do my season previews for all 30 NBA teams, which is really good content in my opinion. And not just because it's my content, but I just think it's good content because I'm really diving into all 30 NBA teams to get us ready going into the following year. All right. So I want to give you guys the 4 topics that I'll be going over in today's episode. So I'll be starting off with my draft thoughts. Now, within my draft thoughts, I'll be just talking about teams and just things to look out for during the draft. And then after that, I'll give you guys my top 15 prospects. And then after my top 15, I'll give you guys my 15 to 30 prospects. And then we'll close out the episode with my draft sleepers. All right. So with that being said, let's just get started. So we'll kick it off with my draft thoughts. Now, I just want to talk about, again, I'm going to talk about quite a bit of teams. I've throw out a lot of information to you guys about my draft thoughts. And so I want to talk about teams that may be trying to creep into the first round. These are teams that don't have a first round pick in this draft, but may, find their way into the draft through a trade or something. So I first want to talk about the Denver Nuggets. So Denver just recently promoted a couple guys within their front office. I think one, I forgot his name. But I know they promoted him to the head of basketball operations, and then they promoted another guy to like vice president of player personnel or something like that. So I think Denver could be a team potentially, see somebody they like in the back end of the draft that they really like. Again, we always know with new ownership or new people in the front office, they may get aggressive before draft night or during draft night. So that's a team I want you guys just to keep your eyes out for. Another team is the Sacramento Kings. I know Sacramento's like dying to get back into the first round badly. So I think that's a team to keep your eyes out for. Other ones, kind of just keep your eyes out on potentially, I would say Cleveland, New York, Golden State, the Pacers, Detroit, the Bucks, and the Lakers. Those are some other teams I would just keep your eyes out on who may, like I said, towards the back end of the first round, may, try to pick up the phone and call Brooklyn, because Brooklyn has 3 first round picks. That back end of the draft, they have 4 total. But they got 3 in the late part of the first round. They got 19, 26, and 27, if I remember correctly. So just something to keep your eyes out on. I just wanted to throw those to you guys, that those teams may try to, if they see somebody they really like at the end of the first, may try to get their way back in. I want to talk about the Atlanta Hawks as well. I believe, Trae Young only has 1 more year left on his deal after this. And I believe it's a player option next summer, if I remember correctly. I think Atlanta's going to draft a point guard in this draft. That's just my opinion. I think they're going to try and draft a point guard. Chicago's a team that I think should and will draft defense. I think they have enough offense. Oh, look at this. Look at this. This is crazy. I just got a trade notification. The Celtics, Hawks, and Nets are finalizing a three-team trade for Porzingis, sending Porzingis to Atlanta. I was literally just about to tell you guys Atlanta has a literal trade exception for like $26 million. I was literally about to tell you guys that. That's crazy. I just got that notification. But yeah, so Atlanta kind of just burst what I was about to tell you guys. Anyways, again, so I'm just trying to get back on track now. So Chicago, I think will and should draft defense in the draft. I think Colin Murray-Boyles would fit seamlessly with that young core. I would really like him there for them. If they can get Malawach, that would be great, but I doubt he's going to be there. Another team is Brooklyn. I mean, I just talked about Brooklyn. I mean, I just said they were part of that 3-team trade. But yeah, Brooklyn has those three picks in the later half of the first round. I know Brooklyn really wants to try to get back up into the lottery. So we'll see, to keep your eyes out on for Brooklyn, maybe to make a move. I haven't, obviously, like I said, this trade just happened, so I don't even know if those picks were included or not. But I just got to keep going on script, right? Another team to keep your eyes out for is Orlando. Orlando did trade their 16th pick to Memphis in this draft, but Orlando still does have their pick number 25. So in my opinion, right when I seen that trade about Desmond Baines, it made me think, okay, they didn't give up both first round picks. So that lets me know they believe or they like somebody in that 25 range or believes their guy's going to be there. So I'm interested to see who that guy is for Orlando. I think Orlando could use some more shooting or a natural playmaker at the point guard position. Not to say Anthony Black can't be that, but I just think they also could use another point guard, for just in case if Anthony Black can't become that floor general point guard. I think he has the potential to do it, no doubt. But we'll see. That's what I think they're going to draft, as a point guard and more shooting. OKC, I picked them to win the title before the playoffs started. Going into the playoffs, I tooted their horn. I went crazy on here to you guys about OKC. So first and foremost, shout out to OKC for winning the NBA title. I picked them to win it. I'm on a crazy streak right now. Over the past 5 years, I've either picked the finals matchup or I've picked the NBA champ every time the last 5 years. So, I got to give kudos to myself. But yeah, shout out to OKC. But I want to talk about OKC too, because they have 2 first-round picks in this draft. They have 15 and 24, but they already have 15 players on their roster. Jalen Williams, the one from Arkansas, and then Asia Mitchell. They have to decide if they want to pick up their team options or not. So I'm interested to see what OKC does with those 2 picks. Or do they re-sign these 2 guys? I'm interested to see what happens there. Phoenix obviously just traded back. I mean, they just got the 10th pick in this draft back from Houston, which really was no surprise to most people and wasn't a surprise to me. I'm interested to see if Phoenix decides to move back in the draft, and maybe they do a deal with Brooklyn. Like, hey, we know you guys want to get back to the lottery. You could take 10. You give us 19, 26, and 27. I could see Phoenix maybe trying to do that so they can get, younger a lot. They can get younger and even get some proven older college players, because I think the back end of the draft, there's going to be a lot of juniors and seniors back there that'll be ready to play right in day one. I think that could be interesting for Phoenix to do. And so I'm kind of interested to see what happens with that. Or maybe Memphis. Maybe Memphis calls Phoenix and is like, hey, we'll give you 10 if you give us our first round pick for next year's draft. I don't know. Just Phoenix. Keep your eyes on Phoenix. I don't think Phoenix is done with the whole draft and draft pick stuff. I don't think they're done yet. And I was literally going to talk about Atlanta. Obviously, Atlanta just made a trade. They used their trade exception. I was ready to tell you guys they had a massive trade exception that expires July 7th, so they're going to use it. But they also have picks 13 and 22. So I'm interested again to see what they do there with that draft picks. I told you guys I think they will draft a point guard. But I'm just interested to see what they do there. They just used the trade exception, so kind of bursted my bubble there. But yeah, so I just wanted to let you guys know those are just teams and just thoughts of mine going into the draft. Obviously, it's a lot of he say, she say going to happen from today until the draft night, goes. But yeah, those are just my draft thoughts for right now. You guys let me know down in the comment section below. What are your thoughts going into the draft, and what are you going to be looking out for? All right, so my next segment is going to be my top 15 big board. I want you guys just to understand this about my big board too. As I give you guys my top 15 and I give you guys player comps for these players, I'm not saying these players are going to have career trajectories like the players I'm going to name that are their comps. These are just players I believe this player plays like based on what I've seen out of them in high school and or college, okay? So just keep that in mind as I go through my top 15. But before I do that, obviously, that trade just happened, and I just had a second to look at the details. So it looks like Porzingis and a second-round pick is going to the Hawks. Terrence Mann in Atlanta's pick number 22 is going to the Nets. And then George Niang in a second round is going to Boston. So Boston, I think, is getting ready either for next summer to go get somebody or something there. They're clearing a lot of cap space. The big thing to me is that pick number 22 to the Nets. I just told you guys the Nets are trying to get back up into the lottery. So I think the Nets are getting ready to throw 4 first round, the 19, 22, 26, and 27 at somebody to get back into the lottery. And if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I'm taking all 4 of those picks. The Phoenix Suns should be begging Brooklyn to give us all 4 of those picks so Phoenix can rebuild their team. And Phoenix is really good at drafting. The last couple years, they've done a really good job at drafting players. So they should be betting on their scouting team, in my opinion. But that's another subject for another day. But yeah, I just want to say Brooklyn got 4 first-round picks now. They're about to trade up. Somebody's about to take that bait from Brooklyn. Good for Brooklyn, though. Good for Brooklyn. All right, let's talk about my top 15 big board. We're going to start off. Number 1 on my big board, no surprise. He's 6'9", Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg's position is a small forward / power forward in my opinion. To me, Cooper Flagg for some people are polarizing. I'm a Duke fan. I've been a Duke fan since birth. I've always been a Duke fan. And in my opinion, I think Cooper Flagg at this stage and what he showed at Duke, he was better than Brandon Ingram. He was better than Tatum. He was better than Zion. He was better than Jalen Johnson. Better than all of those players were at Duke, in my opinion. I think he's a little bit more developed than all those players were. That doesn't mean he's going to necessarily have a better career than them. That's not what I'm saying to you guys, but I do believe he's had a better head start, and obviously he's going to a great organization. He's going to be around a bunch of championship level players. So he's set up nicely. He's set up very nicely to achieve in the NBA, probably very early on. But yeah, to me, I think his floor, in my opinion, is just a starter on a championship level team. And his ceiling, to me, is a all NBA offensive and an all NBA player, potentially an MVP. I would say probably more so an all NBA before I say MVP. But I think Cooper Flagg to me he's the unanimous. I don't think there's really a doubt in my heart. He's the number 1 prospect on my big board. And I think he's going to live up to the hype that comes along with his name. Number 2 is Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper is about 6'5.5" in shoes. He's a shooting guard, in my opinion, / point guard. I would consider him more of a shooting guard, is my opinion. I watched a lot of Rutgers games this last year, just strictly for him and Ace Bailey, and I'm guess I can just bunch them together with what I'm about to say. Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, they were kind of just a product of their environment. Mainly Ace Bailey, though. The head coach was not a good head coach. He did not do a good job at drawing up offensive schemes, in my opinion. The players around them, I can argue, were not D-level, Division I level players. And there were a lot of games that was really just Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper carrying this team. Like, they did not. I can guarantee you guys, if, let's say Dylan Harper would have chose St. John's instead, you know what I'm saying? Or let's say they both would have chose St. John's. They would have looked a lot better. Their numbers would have been a lot better. Like, don't get me wrong. Dylan Harper's numbers were not horrible. Ace Bailey's numbers were not horrible. But they would have looked a lot better being around a competent supporting cast. Because these players, really, I would say, like, Dylan Harper's play style, it's going to translate to the NBA. I'm not worried about his play style. My biggest thing with Dylan Harper is his jump shot, to me, just kind of funky. He kind of got a really low release point. But to me, he got the best footwork in the draft. I think he's a great driver of the basketball. He's a physical guard. He's solid on defense. And I think he will become an average NBA three-point shooter. He shoots about 75% from the free throw line right now. But yeah, I think him and Ace Bailey were just a product of their environment. I think that's why I don't know why on some people's big board Ace Bailey's dropped. Outside of the whole, him like saying he don't want to go to Philly. But I've seen people have him like at like 10, 9, 8, 12 on their big boards. And I just can't believe it. For me, and I guess I just gave it away to you guys, Ace Bailey's number 3 on my big board. I think, again, they were a product of their environment. To me, Ace Bailey's going to be fine shooting-wise. I know he shot free throw percentage really bad at Rutgers, and he's had some weird games, man. He's had a game, I think, where he shot like 1 for 8 from the free throw line, 1 for 7. Just really weird free throw things. But then I also did some more digging because I didn't want to just hold that over his head. In high school, he actually shot 80% in high school. Well, if you combine, in high school, he shot, I think, like 89%. In college, he only shot 70%. So about 80% between high school and college on a larger sample size. I'm assuming the college thing, maybe it just been, maybe the physicality of college got to him or the energy that he was, putting out. Maybe that's why his free throw shooting slipped. But I just think I think for me, he's number 3. Yeah, he has a very high ceiling. He has a very high ceiling and a somewhat low floor. But I just think you have to roll the dice with him. He's a tough shot maker. And to me, in the playoffs, that's what it comes down to, right? Tough shot makers. We just saw Shea. We've seen Jalen Brunson through this playoff run. Halliburton. We've seen Siakam. We've seen just the NBA's stars, okay? The NBA stars, the all-stars, the all-NBA players, the MVP level players, they make tough shots. Ace Bailey does that very thing, okay? And I'm going to hold my hat on that. I think he's a solid rim protector. I've seen him come out of nowhere multiple times throughout the season. I think he's going to be able to play some power forward if need be. I would prefer him at the small forward position, but if he needs to play PF, he can do that as well. My biggest thing with him is shot selection and his basketball IQ at times. I think he's actually above average passer. I've seen him make some really great passes. But I think I hope he does go to where he feels like his best form, and I hope a team really does put the time and effort into getting him more disciplined, because I think if he was more disciplined, and again, if he was coached by Rick Pitino, I think he would have been a lot better. I think there would be no question him being top 3 in this draft if he was in a better environment. Just in college, they was letting him do whatever. And I just thought that was bad because in high school it was the same thing. They was letting him do whatever. But I think he'll tighten his screws in the NBA. He has the work ethic. I really like his personality. I think he's a funny dude. And he's betting on himself, He's betting on himself at the end of the day. So I really like Ace Bailey at number 3 for me. Number 4, it is VJ Edgecombs. He's 6'5", shooting guard from Baylor. I think, again, product of his environment. Baylor did not do a good job at displaying some of the other 5-star shooting guards they've gotten over the years, with Jacoby Walter, with Keontae George. They had one other dude. I forgot who else came out of Baylor. Davion Mitchell was okay at Baylor. He was fine. But Keontae and Jacoby Walter just weren't that good at Baylor at all. I mean, they haven't been that good in the NBA, quite frankly, either. And I like Keontae George. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've gone on rants about Keontae George on here. But, yeah, I think VJ at times was very passive at Baylor. I think that was because he was with Jeremy Roach, who dribbles the life out of the ball. He used to play for Duke, so I can say that about him. But then also they had Robert Wright Jr., Robert Wright III. He was a freshman 5-star, and they all started as well. And again, him and Jeremy Roach were monopolizing the ball a lot. I like Robert Wright as a college point guard. I don't really care for him to be an NBA point guard, but let me get back to VJ. I think for me, VJ's biggest thing is improving his ball handling. I'm not worried about his shooting. To me, his shooting form is fine. He shoots really good from the free throw line. He shot 82% in conference from the free throw line. He shot 79% on the year. To me, he was no doubt, unequivocally, the best player on that Bahamas national team last summer. I watched him play in those games last summer. He was the best player on that team. And that team had NBA pros on it. It had Ayton. It had an older but still okay Eric Gordon on the team. They had Buddy Hield on the team. He was the best player on that team, in my opinion, for the Bahamas team. The biggest things for him is him improving his ball handling and him being aggressive. I think he's a two-way. I think he has a two-way star written all over him. I think he's going to come into the NBA day one and be able to play some great defense, and that's why I really have him at 4. Because God forbid if his offense doesn't develop, which I think it will, if it doesn't ever develop, you at least got a high-level championship starting defending defending shooting guard in VJ, in my opinion. So that's why I got him at 4 on my big board. I think his floor and ceiling, I think his floor is really not that low. Like I said, he can be a championship starting shooting guard defensively. So that's why I got him at 4 on my big board. And I think he will develop his offensive game. Number 5, this dude is Trey Johnson. He's 6'6", shooting guard / small forward. kid got a crazy wingspan. He has a 6'10 wingspan. He's 6'6 standing. He's a pretty yacht dude. I mean, I like his physique. No diddy. He's very aggressive. And you can tell he'd be in the gym. He's physical, you know. To me, again, another player that just was a product of his environment in essence. The offensive scheme was horrible. It was a lot of give Trey Johnson the ball and let him go ISO. He had a lot of ISO. And if you guys watch college basketball, the SEC was the toughest conference in America by a mile. No doubt about it. It was very physical. A lot of upperclassmen. It was a physical conference. So don't be skewed by his shooting numbers. You really got to watch film on Trey Johnson to know what he's really about. And to me, he was a one-man army. His team had poor playmaking around him. Jordan Pope was supposed to be help. Jordan Pope transferred from Oregon State. He was really no help. But then also the spacing was horrible. They had like hardly any shooting for him. Trey Johnson made the most of his environment at Texas. And to me, I think his playmaking is better than what people may think. And I think he's a bona fide top 5 player on my big board. Like I said, I like his offense a lot. His thing, I think he does struggle at times with getting by people, but that's something I think that will improve as he improves his ball handling and as he's in a better environment with more spacing. So I'm not too worried about Trey Johnson. I think he's a scoring dynamo. You can argue he's the best pure scorer in this draft. You can argue that. I'm not worried about Trey Johnson. I'm not worried about Trey Johnson at all. I think he'll be a lot better on the NBA level. He shot like 90% from the free throw line, got to the free throw line, I think at about a 5-point clip. I don't have it in front of me, but I think at about 5 free throws a game. I'm not worried about Trey Johnson. He's number 5 on my big board. Number 6 is he's one of the youngest guys in this draft, and that is Jeremiah Fears. Jeremiah Fears stands at 6'3.5. So basically 6'4. In my opinion, he's a shooting guard more than he is a point guard. That's just my opinion, but I got him as a shooting guard / point guard. Again, played in the toughest conference in America in the SEC. He went to University of Oklahoma. He's 18, and he reclassified. He's supposed to be going into his freshman year technically, but he was the engine that made that Oklahoma team go in a lot of games. In my opinion, his play style is very similar to he's a mixture of Shea and Kyrie. He has Shea's smoothness, in my opinion, and he has Kyrie's handle and special playmaking ability. Doesn't mean he's going to be these players, but when I watch him, those are the players I kind of just think about when I think about him. I know people are worried about his three-point shooting because he shot 28% from 3 this last year on 4 attempts. I'm not worried about it. In my opinion, he took a lot of bad threes and a lot of contested threes. I also think the physicality of the SEC might have, weighed him down and kind of made him tired. He's a pretty skinny dude. He's not that big, but I'm not worried about his shooting at all. He shot 85% from the free throw line on 6 attempts. I'm not worried about his shooting. Jeremiah Fears, to me, has the potential to be a dynamic scoring guard coming out of this draft. And I'm just interested to see how he develops in the NBA. Like, I think he needs to put on some more weight. And I just hope a team plays him more at a shooting guard than a point guard role, in my opinion. I just think that's where he could strive. He has a pretty solid wingspan. I don't have it in front of me, but I think his wingspan's like 6'6", I think maybe. So he can be the shooting guard. I like him as a shooting guard. I think he's going to be a solid NBA defender. I don't think he's going to be as good as VJ, but I think he's going to be at least average, maybe slightly above average defensively. I like Jeremiah Fears. He's number 6 on my big board. Number 7, he's a dookie. My boy Con Knipple. Con stands at 6'6". He's a shooting guard / small forward, in my opinion. To me, I watched a lot of Duke. I actually went to a Duke game, Duke versus Kansas in Vegas earlier this year. I really like Con Knipple. He's number 7 on my big board. To me, he has a very high basketball IQ. He's not very athletic, but he really knows how to use his body and get to his spots, and that's why I kind of give a lot of props to his basketball IQ. He's a very solid passer out of the pick and roll. I don't really see many people talking about how good he is out of the pick and roll, and he's a lights out shooter. I think Con will be able to become at least maybe an NBA average defender. I don't expect him to be like shut down defender by any means, but I think he'll be able to at least be average. I really like Con. I'm excited to see what he does in the NBA because, again, he's more of a brains than he is a physical guy. He's not going to jump out the gym and dunk on nobody, but he's just steady. He's a steady player, and I'm excited for him. I'm excited for him at the next level. Number 8 is Kamen Malawach from Duke. He's 7'2" with a 7'7" wingspan. He's a center. To me, he's the best defensive big man in this draft. My main concern with Malawach is literally just injury concern. He only played 20 minutes a game at Duke. And then even last summer for the South Sudan national team, he didn't really play much. So I'm worried that the NBA load, the length of the season, the physicality, because the ACC was kind of down this year. And then also the amount of minutes that he's going to probably need to play in the NBA. I'm kind of worried injury concern. So that's why I got him at 8. I know some people have him much higher, but I have him at 8 because I do worry about those things. Malawach defends the pick and roll really great. He takes up a lot of space, man. He takes up a lot of space. Malawach has a nice shooting touch. I don't have it in front of me, but I think he shot like about 73 to 74% from the free throw line. He's going to be able to shoot an NBA 3. I do think that his form ain't broken. It looks fine. My biggest concern, like I said, for him is injury. But I guess you could say that for any player. But specifically for him, I am worried about that. I'm not going to lie. Number 9, this player is Colin Murray Boyles. He's 6'7.5". He went to University of South Carolina. He's a sophomore coming out. Wingspan is about 7'1". To me, he's a power forward. And in today's NBA, it's a small ball lineup. He can be a center. To me, he is the most versatile defender coming out of this draft. He's going to be able to guard 1 through 5, in my opinion. In my opinion, player comp is Draymond Green. If you go back and watch Draymond Green at Michigan State, it's pretty similar to Colin Murray Boyles. I don't like Colin Murray Boyles' jump shot. Like, I don't like his form. But his free throw percentage tells me he should be at least about league average from 3. I think he shot like 71% or 70% from the free throw line. But to me, he's number 9 on my big board strictly because of his defense, not because of his offense. I think, like I said, at worst, he's going to be a really, really good, versatile NBA defender. So that's why I got him at number 9. I know some people got him higher. I seen somebody has him at like 3. I think that's just that ain't cool because he's not that good. But I also seen people have him at like 18. So, I don't agree with that either. I think where I got him at as 9, I think that's appropriate in my opinion. Number 10 is Kasparis Yakuchonis. He's 6'6", point guard / shooting guard from University of Illinois. He's a freshman. I actually talked about Yakuchonis a lot last summer in my episode 5 for Euro basketball. He was at the FIBA U18 Euro tournament last summer, and that's when I was kind of keeping my eyes on him. He really popped to me last summer. To me, he's a great passer out of the pick and roll. Great free throw shooter. Shot 85% from the free throw line this last year on 5 attempts. My biggest worry for him is kind of just defensively, if he can become a league defender, and also how he goes about attacking. I know I just said he's really great passing out of the pick and roll, but I also am worried about him operating out of the pick and roll. Okay, so 2 things can be true. He can be a great passer out of the pick and roll, but then also him navigating the pick and roll. I'm a little worried about how he's going to handle being double teamed, because I've watched a couple games this last year where he's getting double teamed out of the pick and roll, and he seems really flustered. Another thing that I'm worried about is his assist to turnover ratio. Last year during the Euro tournament was a problem for me too, and I talked about that to you guys last summer. But even this year, it kind of continued. He averaged 5 assists with 4 turnovers this year at Illinois. And so that's something that I'm hoping he can clean up when he gets around NBA vets, gets around NBA training. I'm hoping that's something that can get cleaned up. Otherwise, I really like Yakuchonis a lot. To me, he's like a poor man's Luka. He's going to give you a little bit of scoring, a little bit of rebounding, a little bit of assists. Yeah, I like Yakuchonis. For me, he's number 10 on my big board. I hope he goes to a team that's going to allow him to run point guard, because that's what I think he is. I don't think he's a shooting guard, even though he's 6'6". I think he's a point guard, so I just hope somebody gives him an opportunity to do that. Number 11 on my big board, it's Derek Queen. He's 6'10", power forward / center, in my opinion, from Maryland. To me, he's the best offensive big man coming out of the draft. The reason why I have him at 11, because some people have him much, much higher. And I don't think many people have him as low as I do at 11, but I got him at 11. I've seen people have him like top 4, top 3. The reason why I have him at 11 is because, in my opinion, I think he's one of those players that needs the system to be morphed around him, you know? And what I mean by that, I don't think you can just drop him on any team and he's going to be super impactful. Because to me, defensively, he's just about average. I would not want him being my starting center, because I don't think he's that good of a rim protector, and he's not that good at defending out of the pick and roll, in my opinion. But then on the offensive end, I think the system needs to be built around him, because like I just told you guys, he's the best offensive big man in this draft. So if he can get to a place that's willing to run the offense through him down the court, then yes, Derek Queen for sure can be an effective pro, no doubt. And I think he will be an effective pro. I'm not saying he won't. But for me, he's at number 11 because I really do think situation's going to matter. And them actually running the offense through him is going to matter at the next level. To me, his player comps are a Joel Embiid, I would say Joel Embiid, Elton Brand, Al Jefferson. I think those are kind of his player comps. DeMarcus Cousins is another one. I like DQ. I really do. I just think I got him at 11 because of my concerns. I told you guys, I feel like he needs the system to be ran through him for him to really, really live up to being, higher than 11. Like I said, some people got him at 3 or 4. In my opinion, I think 11 is a good spot. I think if he goes to the right situation and they're going to run the offense to him, he will be an impactful and good NBA player. If he doesn't, then we may have a different discussion. I don't think he's going to be a bust. Let's clear that. I don't think he's going to be no bust. But I just can't justify putting him higher than the other dudes because I think the other dudes are not predicated or need the system to run through them to be effective. That's why I got him at 11 because I think he needs that. Number 12 is Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant is 6'7.5". He has about a 7-foot wingspan from University of Arizona. He's a freshman. He only started 5 games this year. He averaged about 20 minutes a game. Second half of the year, he kind of woke up and got more aggressive. I think at worst, he's a 3-and-D starter. I think he has more to his game, though. In high school, he played point guard and was actually known for his passing in high school, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I'm going to talk more about Carter Bryant a little bit later on because he is one of my draft sleepers. But yeah, I got him at 12 on my big board because I think he has the potential to be more than just a 3-and-D player. I think he can potentially project out to be kind of like a Paul George where he's giving you about 17 a night and giving you great defense. I think he has that potential, and that's why I got him at 12 on my big board. I really like Carter Bryant a lot. I really do. Number 13 is Noai Esingé. He's 6'10", power forward from France. I got to watch him play earlier this NBA season when the ULM, they came over and played the Portland Trailblazers in an exhibition. I got to watch him and Ben Saraf, who I'll talk about Ben Saraf a little bit later on as well. But I think he's today's NBA's power forward. He shot about 70% from the free throw line. So I think, and he's improving too, though. Like, let me be very clear to you guys. Like, he's improved quite a bit. ULM didn't really use him that much. I don't know why. I couldn't really answer that, but he's a pretty versatile offensive player. He's just okay at a lot of things. Like, I think he's an okay scorer. He's an okay passer, okay rebounder, okay defender. I really like him a lot in transition, though. He's improved a lot pretty fast, too, as a prospect. So he does have a high upside. I know some people have him higher. I got him at 13 because at worst, I think he's just somebody that comes off your bench. I think his ceiling potentially could develop to being maybe a star player. But I got him at 13 because I think it's more likely he's just a rotational player. I'm not super duper high on him personally. But he's 13th on my big board for potential. And then also, I think he's going to provide value to a team regardless, right? Number 14 is Thomas Sorber. He's a 6'10" power forward / center. He went to Georgetown. Wingspan is 6. He got a 7'6" wingspan. Takes up a lot of space. In my opinion, and I've come on this pod and I told you guys this even during the college basketball season, he was the best all-around big man, in my opinion, coming out. I mean, during college basketball and then even earlier in the draft cycle, a couple months back when college basketball ended, I told you guys he was the best all-around big man to me. He's not great at one singular thing. I just think he's like solid at everything. I think he's just solid. My biggest concern with him is literally his weight. I think he needs to lose 20 to 25 pounds, but I like Thomas Sorber. I like his touch. He reminds me of Roy Hibbert. That's his player comp, in my opinion. I really like Thomas Sorber a lot. I like him a lot, and he actually is somebody, I think that's on my draft sleepers as well. Number 15 is Ayasai Newell. He's 6'10", power forward from Georgia. He's a freshman. I think at worst, he's a top 8 rotational player. I know some people have him lower than 15 or not even in their lottery. I think he's 15 because I think he's at least a top 8 rotational player on a team. I think he could just do a little bit of everything. There's not one thing that he's like eye-poppingly great at, but he's just very like, again, kind of like Thomas Sawyer. He's just very solid at everything. He's just solid. I really like Newell, and like I said, he played in the SEC. And he put up really good numbers in the SEC. I don't have it in front of me, but I think he averaged like 16, 8, I think 1 or 2 assists. I think like a steal and a block. He's a solid NBA power forward. In small lineups, I think he'll be able to play center for you as well. But he's naturally a power forward in my opinion, lefty. That's my top 15 big board. I'm sorry it took so long. I didn't realize it was almost been 30 minutes just talking about just this. But so that's my top 15. I'm going to give you guys my 15 through 30 prospects now. All right, so now I want to give you guys my prospects 15 through 30 and then some of my second round players that potentially be in the second round of value, okay? So we'll go through it really fast. I'm sorry. Like I just said, I didn't realize my top 15 took me that long, so I don't want to waste a lot of you guys' time. So I'm just giving you guys my other top 15 through 30 prospects and also some of my second rounders. There's no order for these first rounders. I'm just saying their names, okay? We got Jace Richardson, Liam McNeely, Danny Wolf, Noah Pinda, Nolan Torahari, Drake Powell, Ben Sarif. And Ben Sarif today is still playing in the BBL final right now. He's been playing really well the last 2 games. Their team's up 2-1 right now. Rasheer Fleming, he's 6. He stands at 6'9.5" with a 7'5" wingspan. Insanely long, no diddy. Nick Clifford, Will Riley, Hugo Gonzalez, Joan Beringer's player comp, in my opinion, is like a Nick Claxton. We got Walter Clayton, Cedric Coward, and we got Yegor Demon. That's my 15 through 30, my first rounders. My second round value players, I got Ado Tharo. He's small forward from Arkansas. I think he potentially is either going to be a late first or early second. If he's in the second round, I think that's value. I think he projects to be out maybe a 3-and-D athlete. Ryan Nimhart, which is Andrew Nimhart's little brother. I think Ryan could be a little floor general backup for somebody. The other dude is Yannick. I can't pronounce his last name. It's the center from Penn State. To me, he's an athletic run runner / shot blocker. Drake Powell. I know I just said him in my first rounder, but he might drop to the second. I think he has 3-and-D potential. My other second round value, my last one is Sion James from Duke. I think he projects out to be a 3-and-D / tough / physical guard, kind of like your Lou Dort a little bit. I like Sion James as well. So now I want to give you guys, the next thing we'll go over is my draft sleepers. Now, with my draft sleepers, before I get started on that, I want to apologize. I just have to go through 15 through 30 really fast, just because, like I said, I don't want to make this episode too long. But with my draft sleepers, I kind of just named some of them already, and some of them are high on my big board, but other people I know may have these players lower. But number one, I ain't gonna say number one. I'm sorry. One of the draft sleepers for me is Carter Bryant. I just told you guys he's 6'8" small forward with a 7-foot wingspan from Arizona. To me, he has two-way potential written all over him. I love his mentality. I watched a couple of interviews of him. I just really like him a lot. So some people may be worried about his shooting. In college, he shot 69% from the free throw line, only on 1 attempt a game. But in the EYBL last year, he shot 89% from the free throw line. He was 34 of 38. And he also shot 82% on 2 attempts from games 17 to 37, the second half of the college basketball season this year. He also shot 39% from 3 on 3 attempts. I think he's an underrated passer. Like I told you guys, in high school, he was known for his passing. So I think that's something that we could see. I think his usage rate really affected his draft stock. He was coming off the bench for most of the season. He only started 5 games. He only played 20 minutes a game. Didn't really have offense ran for him. I think he's a no-brainer lottery pick in my opinion. And I think his floor is like a Trevor Ariza, while his ceiling is like a Paul George. So that's value. You know what I'm saying? So he's a draft sleeper in my opinion. Another one, I named him also, is Thomas Sawyer, 6'10", with a 7'6" wingspan from Georgetown. Again, he's, in my opinion, the best all-around big man coming out of this draft. Can do a little bit of everything. Nothing great, but he does everything just very solid. I just want to see him lose some weight. Like I told you guys, he's a pretty big boy. I want to see him lose about 25 pounds. He got a great shooting touch. Shot about 72% from the free throw line on 4 attempts. He averaged 2 blocks and steal and a half a game. And I'm not saying he's going to be the best all-around big coming out just because I said that. But he has the potential to be a very, very good NBA pro. Like I said, in my opinion, his player comp is Roy Hibbert. Roy Hibbert was solid at Georgetown, and he was solid in the NBA. I like Thomas Sawyer a lot. I've liked him all year long. Another player for me is Ben Saraf, 6'6" combo guard. He's from I think he's Israeli. I think Ben Saraf is from Israel, but he plays for the ULM. He plays for ULM in Germany. In my opinion, I think his floor is a rotational player on a championship team. I think he projects out to be, in my opinion, probably like his ceiling to me is a starter in the NBA. Okay, I think his floor is being a rotational, being that either that 6th man to 8th man off of a bench. To me, his player comp is Manu Ginobili. I think he plays like Manu Ginobili. I got to watch him live in person. I've watched film on him as well. He reminds me of Manu Ginobili. I think if somebody gets him, to me, even at the back end of the first round or in the second round, I think that's a steal. I really like Ben Sarf as a rotational backup combo guard for a team. This next guy is also somebody that I'm really high on and that I'm mad that he didn't get to go to Duke, and it's Cedric Coward. He's a 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan, shooting guard / small forward. To me, he was supposed to be at Duke, so I'm mad about that. But at the end of it, I watched a lot of film on him. As soon as they said he was committing to Duke, that's when I started watching film on him. He did get hurt, so obviously there was a small sample size at Washington State. But I went back and watched film at I forgot what other school he went to. I think he went to Eastern Washington. But I really like him, man. I like the film I watched on him. He was able to create space. His separation was nice. He has a really nice jump shot, a nice form. He shot 83% from the free throw line on 3 attempts. I really liked him, man. I really liked him. I think at worst he's a 3-and-D type of player. But in my opinion, I just think he has more to his game than that. I watched him post up players. He has some post up skills to him. I really like him a lot. I would not be surprised if he gets taken in the lottery. I really like him a lot. To me, and it sucks because I didn't have this podcast, but he reminds me of Jalen Williams coming out of Santa Clara. I was high on Jalen Williams coming out of Santa Clara, and that's kind of how I feel about Cedric Coward right now. I'm not saying he's going to be Jalen Williams either, but just he has that to him where I think once he gets to the NBA, I think he's going to make an impact. I really like Cedric Coward a lot, and I would not be stunned if he's taken in the lottery. And truth be told, if that boy falls into the 20s, that's a steal for somebody. Don't let the Miami Heat get their hands on him. Don't let the Oklahoma City Thunder get their hands on him. Do not. Okay, NBA. Or don't let Boston get their hands on him. All right? I really like Cedric a lot. So that's about it. Really quickly, before I end the pod, I'll just go through because I wrote down some of the player comps. Dylan Harper, player comp, in my opinion, is James Harden / Jalen Brunson / Ron Harper, his dad. Derek Queen, like I told you guys, is Joel Embiid, Elton Brand, DeMarcus Cousins. I think Cooper Flags is Jason Tatum's / Andre Karolinko. I think Kasper Siakachonis is a poor man's Luka. I think VJ Edgecombs is Ben Mathers / Victor Oladipo. I think Colin Murray Boyles, player comp, is a Julius Randle / Draymond Green. I think Asa Newell, I think his player comp is like a Derek Lively hybrid kind of a little bit. He's not defensively like Derek Lively at all, but he just kind of reminds me and moves like Derek Lively a little bit in my opinion. Will Riley reminds me of Max Christie / Michael Porter Jr. Con Knipple reminds me of Bojan Bogdanovic. Trey Johnson reminds me of OG Ray Allen. I'm talking Supersonics, early days Ray Allen. Jeremiah Fears, I told you guys, remind me of Kyrie / Shea. And Yegor Demon reminds me of Josh Giddey. I just want to take this moment and just thank you guys for taking this time to watch my podcast. I'm super excited for the draft. And PJ is out.